December 19th, 1814, Edwin McMasters Stanton, U.S. Secretary of War in 1862 to 68, is born in Steubenville, Ohio. Steubenville, Ohio. That's where that rape had happened, Steubenville. And it's also right there next to the Yellow Creek Massacre. What the hell? Some bad shit's happened in Steubenville, Ohio. Yellow Creek with the Talgadega. The great houses killed his whole family. Steubenville, Ohio. So, okay, we got something good coming out of Steubenville, Ohio. They finally, Edwin McMaster Stanton, born December 19th, 1814. He's going to die December 24th, 1869. So that's going to be a day of mourning. An American lawyer and politician who served as a U.S. Secretary of War under the Lincoln administration during most of the Civil War. Stanton's management helped organize the massive military resources of the North and guide the Union to victory. However, he was criticized by many of the Union generals who perceived him as over-cautious and micromanaging. He also organized the manhunt for Abraham Lincoln's assassin, John Wilkes Booth. Fucking A! Hell yeah, Edwin Stanton. What a badass. Got a nice prominent beard, nice strong, stout, good strong face. He remained the Secretary of War under Andrew Johnson after Lincoln's assassination during the first years of Reconstruction. I love Lincoln. Could you imagine if Kanye West came out and was just like, I love Abraham Lincoln. I love Abraham Lincoln. Abraham Lincoln's got a lot of good ideas. He's got a lot of good ideas. You know, ultimately, Lincoln is bad, or Lincoln is good. Ultimately, Lincoln is good and Hitler is bad. Fred Hampton, good. Edward Covey, bad. Frederick Douglass, good. Philip and Nancy Garrido, bad. Let's review. Lincoln is good. Hitler is bad. Fred Hampton is good. Edward Covey is bad. Frederick Douglass is great. Philip, Nancy Garrido, terrible. Bad, evil, wicked. I love Lincoln. I love Lincoln. Oh my God. Because I know that Lincoln still bothers white supremacists still today. People that are pissed off about Abraham Lincoln. Oh, that daggone Lincoln. What are you mad about Lincoln for? We've had 30 fucking presidents since Lincoln. You've had 30 presidents and you're still bitching about Lincoln because you're a racist, bigoted piece of shit. U.S. presidents. How many presidents have we had? So ultimately, Lincoln is good. There's some problems with Lincoln. And you probably would actually want to know, since I love Lincoln, the Reconstruction plan was too lenient. 10%, if only 10% pledged an oath to the Union. You need the majority. You need the majority of Florida. Look at the shit that's happening in Florida because only 10% of them bastards pledged allegiance to. That's why. So Reconstruction was too lenient. He came up with his Reconstruction plan, before he got assassinated. And then Johnson, he takes over the thing and then bungles the damn thing. But Lincoln, there's two main things. There's the largest mass execution in U.S. history. There's like 50 to 80 Sioux that was killed. So the largest mass public execution. This is also Native Americans, so even more awful. So, participating in the overall genocide. And then 5,000 black folks were shipped to Haiti for some colonization plot where they were going to put them on a plantation, but that person turned out to be a slave driver. So they just moved the plantation down to Haiti and they got abused. And it turned out to be an complete failure. So that happened like right around the Emancipation Proclamation. So those, are terrible things. And I don't excuse any of those things. I might temper some of them. The colonization plan, once he saw that that's not going to work, just, shipping black folks out of here to somewhere else. Once he saw that that isn't going to work, we just have to welcome the black, people, man, woman, and their family in as our brethren, as our neighbors, and our friends, and our equals, as our brothers and sisters. So, largest public mass execution in history. 5,000 black folks were sent to Haiti, and then I'm not sure, they got abused, and that was just a disaster. That plan just turned into a complete disaster. And his Reconstruction plan was way too goddamn lenient. But, Who the hell would want to fight for the 1% today, let alone back in the 1860s? So it's insane that anybody would say, oh, the policies of James Garfield. Jefferson Davis. You know more about Jefferson Davis than James Garfield? James Garfield was an American revolutionary. The Civil War was the Second American Revolution. There was states' rights. There was that kind of friction between states' rights and the national government. But after the Civil War, we were Americans. Proud to be an American. There's the, glory, glory, hallelujah. The battle hymn of the Republic. The battle hymn of the Republic. The battle hymn of the Republic. It's the most important song on the Union side during the Mine eyes have seen the glory of the coming of the Lord. John Brown's body lies a moldering in the grave. But let's just review for all them asshole white supremacist sons of bitches that love Adolf Hitler and hate Abraham Lincoln. Let me go ahead and list all the presidents that, because I would love to know your opinion on Andrew Johnson, Ulysses S. Grant, Rutherford B. Hayes, James A. Garfield. No, please, I want to know what you think about Grover Cleveland and Benjamin Harrison. And then Grover Cleveland again. What the hell's going on here? William McKinley, Theodore Roosevelt, William Howard, Taft Woodrow Wilson, William G. Harding, Calvin Coolidge. What are your thoughts on Herbert Hoover? The damn Hoovervilles, Franklin Delano Roosevelt, Dwight D. Eisenhower. I'm sure you got some strong opinions about Dwight D. Eisenhower. Oh, Ike? Oh, I don't like Ike. Well, you hate Ike as much as you hate Lincoln? John F. Kennedy, Lyndon Baines Johnson. All these presidents have happened. You're still bitching about Lincoln? You're still bitching about Lincoln? Bush, Obama, Clinton, Papa Bush, Ronald Reagan, Jimmy Carter, Gerald Ford, Richard Nixon, LBJ, JFK, Dwight D. Eisenhower. There's your presidents. You've had 30 fucking presidents. Thine eyes have seen the glory of the coming of the Lord. Thine eyes have seen the glory. He's trampling out the vintage where the grapes of wrath are stored. He hath loosed the faithful lightning of his terrible swift sword. His truth is marching on. Glory, glory, hallelujah. Let's see, anything interesting about this Edward Stanton? Should I get a picture of something? Here's some sort of picture here. Tinted lithograph. Glory, glory, hallelujah. Glory, glory, hallelujah. They started printing up Confederate money, but they also printed up the greenback. So Abraham Lincoln did so much shit. You like money? You know all that money that's in your pocket? All that money that's in your bank account? You know all that money that's coming out your ears? You better thank Abraham Lincoln. The old greenback dollar came from Abraham Lincoln. Could you imagine those stupid assholes with the Confederate dollars? Oh, them stupid assholes with the Confederate dollars. You stupid asshole with the Confederate dollars. Here's Thaddeus Stevens. I am Thaddeus Stevens, and slavery is bad. You racist sons of bitches! Chill out. Thaddeus is going to die in 1868. Damn. Here's Distinguished Colored Men, and Frederick Douglass is right in the middle. But you also have Robert Brown Elliott and Henry Highland Garnett and William Wells Brown, Professor R.T. Greener, Blanche Bruce, Richard Allen, J.H. Rainey, E.D. Bassett, John Mercer Langston, and P.B.S. Pinchback. Distinguished Colored Men. It's back in the 1870s. Isn't that amazing? Frederick Douglass, I am I've got a man crush on Frederick Douglass. If there is a historical man that I got a crush on, it would be Frederick Douglass. Now, Abraham Lincoln is good, right? When you do the pros and cons overall, freeing the slaves, 4 million black folks got freedom. And not only when you free the black man, you didn't just free the black man, you freed the white people too. White people, the entire fucking society was having to, chase black folks down and put them back to the 1%, the rich motherfuckers. Most people didn't have slaves, so therefore, the South, the Confederates was just fighting for the 1% for them to own 300 slaves. Nah, I want the rich. Oh man, poor Bill Gates. How can Bill Gates survive without his 300 black slaves? So really, the poor white man that was fighting for the Confederacy was just fighting for straight up racism. Just a bunch of racist, bigoted sons of bitches. They were drafted too, but you could have just ran to the fucking north, right, during the fucking battle. I feel like there was options. You had options. But overall, what I'm trying to say is, Hitler is bad, Lincoln is good. Abraham, with what he did with Isaac, that was pretty fucking evil too. But overall, Lincoln, for 4 years, he's going to get shot and killed, so he's not going to be able to try to make up for any of his mistakes. He didn't really have time, right? You have JFK gets in there for 2 years, and basically everybody excuses him for everything. Lincoln was in there for 4 years, and he was able to get a lot of things done. Got rid of slavery, straightened up the nation, made us all Americans. Fantastic. Wonderful. I mean, that's a pretty powerful fucking presidency right there. What'd you do? All got rid of slavery. How many times does that happen in history? Once, and if that's even true with Moses. Lincoln freed the slaves. And because it's America, when America does it, and it's the right thing. It was good, it was right, it was proper. The rest of the world did it too. So the main thrust of Abraham Lincoln is good. Then the fact that, Lincoln was born in Kentucky and the Civil War is brother versus brother. So the Civil War touched Kentucky in a different way than it touched the rest of the states. Made everybody kind of up against everybody. Lincoln was born in Kentucky, but he got kicked out at 9 years of age, and then he was a slave in Indiana or Illinois. He had to pay off his father's debts, and it was probably through that slavery as a youth that he grew up, hating slavery. He was fighting for America, fighting for the Union. He put his life on the line just like all the troops that put their life on the line. The South basically showed their own asses when they started seceding. He promised to keep the Union together. He wasn't even coming after slavery. Slavery didn't become the main issue until 2 years into the damn war. But it was the main issue. It's why it's why South Carolina, it's why they all seceded. Virginia, it's why they all seceded to maintain slavery, to maintain white supremacy, a bunch of racist sons of bitches. To make sure, we want the rich people to have all their slaves. Make sure Elon Musk's got at least 300 or 400. Yeah. I'm ready to fight and die for that. Are you? Fuck you. So you're a stupid piece of shit. I don't believe that you're actually a good, smart, questioning person. I think you're just you're being controversial. And, ultimately question Hitler, question Lincoln, question all their legacies. Fred Hampton. Question Fred Hampton's legacy. And if you come back and you say, he was bad, he actually didn't do anything, then, back it up with evidence. But you just make a T-chart. Here's the pros, here's the cons. And it's good to question things, but if you continue to conclude that Hitler is good and Lincoln is bad, you fucked up. You're a racist piece of shit, so you fucked up big time. Now, Abraham, that's an evil motherfucker. Abraham, because God told him to, was going to go kill his son. Now, this is just what the Bible says. So a man wrote it, the Israelites and the Canaanites and the Ammonites, the Ammonites. And so they're all fighting amongst each other. Abraham, his God, supposedly talks to him and says, you need to kill. The whole point is the religious elders are saying, you need to be so loyal to me, you need to be willing to kill your own kid. And that's so super fucked up. That's how loyal you need to be to me. If anybody ever tells you to go and, kill your kid in order to be loyal to them, you punch them in the dick. just immediately punch him in the dick. Boom! What? What'd you say to me? Yeah, no, I need to prove how loyal are you. This is just a McDonald's job. I'm not that loyal. Sorry, they're McDonald's CEO. Who is the McDonald's CEO? Would you, if the McDonald's CEO asked you, internet, Chris Kipinzinski, if he told you to kill your kid, would you do it? If Ray Kroc, Sam Walton himself told you to, in order to show your loyalty, and that's, Abraham isn't just the, patriarch for Judaism, he's also the patriarch for Islam and Christianity. So if any of these religious assholes who believes in Christianity or Islam or Judaism looks up to Abraham and what he did to Isaac, and you think that's okay, that's fine and fucking dandy, well, you're a sick, evil son of a bitch. That was Chris Hitchens' final analysis. The final analysis is, you're an evil motherfucker. Yeah, I mean, these are just dumb little stories that they used to manipulate the people back then, but you're not falling for this shit still today, are you? They're just dumb, stupid little stories to, what happened? God clapped, and that's how everything got here. Is that what you believe? Is that how you bake a cake? You just clap? No, you got to put things together, and then you got to shake it, right? And that's... There's science there. Christianity is almost like it encourages people to be stupid and ignorant. It gives simple explanations. You're not a goddamn child. Are you... You got logic. You can look at the facts, use your reason, and figure it out. And so some fucking right-wing, fucking authoritarian, child-abusing fucking Nazi says, hey, you better stay loyal to me. No wonder you got so many fucking right-wing... the Nazis were Christians. KKK were Christians. Confederates were Christians. Nazis were Christians. The fucking czars were Christians. White Christians. Right-wing, authoritarian, child-abusing, white Christian Nazis. So, you want to talk about good versus evil? Lincoln was good. There's good Christian. I think they used, the revolution. Both sides always use Christianity. No, we're the good Christians. You say slavery is okay. That's not a good Christian. We're the good Christians because we say slavery is wrong. Do to you as, you would want to be done to others. So that's your freedom. You can't separate your freedom from mine. That's Nelson Mandela. And what is good? Planting trees is good. What does that mean? Johnny Appleseed is one of the greatest Americans who ever fucking lived on the planet. Johnny Appleseed, how many trees did Johnny Appleseed plant? And where is he planting all these damn apple seeds? I've only seen a couple apple trees. John Chapman. I like Johnny Appleseed better. He's an American pioneer, nurseryman. Good old Johnny Chapman. No, Johnny Appleseed. He introduced apple trees to large parts of Pennsylvania, Ohio, Illinois, Ontario, and Indiana. Good for him. West Virginia. He was kind and generous. He led in conservation, symbolic importance to apples. He was a missionary for the new church, Swedenborgian. What are you doing, Swedenborgian? Is that Christian? Swedenborgian? Are you doing that on purpose? The inspiration, Swedenborgian, the inspiration for many museums and historical sites. Urbana, Ohio, Johnny Appleseed Museum. He was born in Leominster, Massachusetts. American through and through. Birthplace is a granite marker. Born September 26, 1771. It's a good man. It's a good man. Is he better than Edwin Stanton? No. No, he's not. Matthew Brady took the picture of Matthew Stanton. Matthew Brady took a lot of pictures. A lot of pictures. General in Chief. Let's just read this little ditty. about McClellan and Edwin Stanton. On March 11th, Lincoln is going to fire McClellan from his position as General-in-Chief of the whole Union Army, leaving him in charge of only the Army of the Potomac, and he replaced him with Edwin Stanton. This created a bitter chasm in the relationship between Stanton and McClellan, and it led McClellan's supporters to claim that Stanton usurped the role of General-in-Chief and that a Secretary of War should be subordinate to military commanders. I disagree. The Secretary of Defense, which is Lloyd Austin, he's the main, below the Commander-in-Chief. I guess it's up to the Commander-in-Chief, but that's a cabinet-level position. So basically that's like he's in charge of war. He's in charge of the whole war, whereas McClellan's a general. You're in charge of an army. You're not in charge of the whole war. Lincoln ignored the calls. Good. Leaving military power. I like, McClellan. Because of McClellan's insistence, McClellan's going to run against Lincoln. But you needed that conversation. You needed a McClellan. You needed somebody to run against Lincoln. Meanwhile, McClellan was preparing for the first major military operation in the Eastern Theater, the Peninsula Campaign. The Army of the Potomac began its movement to the Virginia Peninsula March 17th. Yorktown, Lincoln, McClellan. See, Edward Stanton. Do we talk about Edward Stanton again? The war rages on. Edward Stanton. Secretary Stanton thought Lee would turn his attention. And then there's some other stuff. Let's just get to the end here. Sherman's Truce. Reconstruction. The war was done, and Edwin Stanton now bore the substantial task of reshaping the American military establishment such that it would be as capable as an apparatus in peacetime as it had proven to be in wartime. To this end, in the North, Stanton reorganized the army into two sections, one to handle training and ceremonial chores, the other to quell the American Indians in the West, who were agitated and blusterous as a result of the war. My God, why can't we integrate from the beginning? It's their land, their property. What's up with the racism, genocide, slavery? War, genocide, and slavery happened because of blind obedience to authority. The worst atrocities that man has ever done to man, especially in mass war, mass murder, right? Genocide, slavery. I said something else too. Genocide, mass. So, blind obedience to authority. Blind obedience to authority. Just go over there and oppress your fellow man, woman. Go over there and oppress your neighbor. No, Nietzsche. Fuck you, Nietzsche. I won't do what you tell me. Fuck you, Nietzsche. I won't do what you tell me. Fuck you, Nietzsche. Nietzsche. Yeah, take your Nietzsche and shove it up your ass. In his 1865 message to Congress, the Democratic Johnson contended that the only necessary proof of loyalty a state needed was to show the ratification of the 13th Amendment. Republicans in Congress disagreed. Senator Charles Sumner and Representative Thaddeus Stevens thought black suffrage was vitally necessary to the nation's security and the continuing dominance of the Republican Party. Republicans used parliamentary procedures to ensure none of the Southern delegates, who were mostly former Confederate leaders, took a seat in Congress, established a predominantly Republican joint committee to decide Reconstruction matters. Concerning Reconstruction, the president and Congress were deeply divided. Johnson, even when his amnesty policy had come under heavy criticism, had obdurately supported and continued it. Radical Republicans in Congress, however, came to prefer Stanton's military occupation proposal. The president's support from moderate Republicans dwindled after the gruesome anti-Negro riots in Memphis and New Orleans. The public seemed to be against Johnson as well. In the 1866 congressional elections, Republicans made sweeping gains on their Democratic rivals. In both the House and Senate elections, Republicans gained a two-thirds plurality of the seats. In the new year, some Republicans sought to use their majority to oust Johnson. They presented the tenure of office bill written with Stanton in mind. The president had long considered dismissing Stanton and replacing him with Major General Sherman. The tenure of office bill would have made this illegal without the advice and consent consent of Congress. Wow. So basically, the whole point, why they were going to kick Johnson out, because they were going to keep the military occupation going. Yeah, the black man got the right to vote there, motherfucking Johnson. Lincoln just got shot and killed, you piece of shit. Now you got to keep this fucking war going on for another 10 years. Goddamn, Johnson really fucked it up. That you got to make sure you pick a vice president that's going the same direction as you. Do not pick a vice president that has, major differing policies, especially, goddamn, John Wilkes Booth did some fucking damage. He did some major fucking damage. Basically, Lincoln got, the black man and therefore the white man freedom in one fell swoop. And then John Wilkes Booth and the fucking KKK Democrats postponed what we could have gained, overnight, postponed it for another 100 years. You're not going to see, integration happen until 1965. When the bill reached the president's desk, or 1964, he vetoed it. His veto was overridden the same day. The protection offered by the Tenure of Office Act. Stanton's opposition to Johnson became more open. In the following months, Johnson grew increasingly exasperated with his war secretary. Johnson told Grant he intended to remove Stanton and give him the war secretaryship. Grant opposed the idea. He argued for Stanton's retention and stated that the Tenure of Office Act protected Stanton. Further, Grant said, should the tenure law prove impotent, public opinion would turn further against the administration. Seward, who still respected Stanton greatly, also disagreed with his removal. The two men's words made Johnson teeter in uncertainty. However, his will was stiffened with the support from Secretary Wells and Salmon Chase. Now the Supreme Court's Chief Justice, the former previously described Stanton as selfish and sincere, dissembler and treacherous, and the latter having dissolved his friendship with Stanton in aid of his political aspirations. August 12, 1867, Johnson sent a note to Stanton saying that he was suspended from his position as Secretary of War and was to turn over the department's files and power to Grant pursuant to the Tenure of Office Act. He also notified the Senate for its consideration. Stanton grudgingly, but with little resistance, complied. Damn! Impeachment, January 13th, 1868. The Senate voted overwhelmingly to reinstate Stanton as Secretary of War. Grant, fearing the act's prescribed penalty of $10,000 in fines and 5 years of prison, doubly so because of his high likelihood of being the Republican presidential nominee in the upcoming election, turned the office over immediately. Stanton returned to the War Department soon after in unusually fine spirits and chatting casually as newspapers reported. His reemergence precipitated a tide of congratulatory writings and gestures thanking him for his opposition to the greatly disliked Johnson. The president, meanwhile, again began searching for an agreeable person to take the helm at the War Department, but after a few weeks, he seemed to accept Stanton's reinstatement with resignation. He did try to diminish the power of Stanton's office, however, regularly disregarding it. However, with his ability to sign Treasury warrants and his backing by Congress, Stanton still held considerable power. Treasury warrants for people's arrest? Is that what they're saying? Johnson became singularly focused on enacting Stanton's downfall, no longer able to bear the congressional insult of an enemy imposed on his official family. Marvel says Johnson began to ponder removing Stanton outright and replacing him with someone palatable enough to win Senate approval. Johnson sought Lorenzo Thomas, the Army's adjutant general, to replace Stanton, to which he agreed. On February 21st, Johnson notified Congress that he was dismissing Stanton. Appointing Thomas as secretary ad interim, Stanton, urged by Republican senators, refused to concede his post. That night, Republicans in the Senate, over Democratic resistance, pushed through a resolution declaring Stanton's removal illegal. In the House, a motion was presented to impeach Johnson. February 24th, the motion was agreed to, and Johnson impeached with the party line 126 yeas, 47 nays. Johnson's trial began in late March with the predominantly Republican Senate. Johnson's conviction seemed to many a foregone conclusion. However, throughout the process, several senators began showing hesitance to remove the president from office. Stanton, meanwhile, had remained barred in the War Department's headquarters for weeks, sneaking off once in a while to visit his home. When it seemed to Stanton that Johnson would not remove him forcefully from office, he began spending more time at home. Stanton watched closely as the trial, which he was convinced would end with Johnson's conviction, continued for several months. When it came time to vote, 35 voted to convict, 19 to acquit, falling one short of the 36 vote supermajority needed for conviction. By one, by 1. Johnson maintains the presidency by 1 vote. The remaining proceedings were delayed for several days for the Republican National Convention. On May 26, after Johnson had been acquitted on all the 10 other charges, Stanton submitted his resignation to the president. Now that's one way to keep your job, huh? Get Congress to back you.